Hey, I'm Paul, and I help people to recover for life from chronic anxiety-related issues, problems, and disorders. Any anxiety-related thing. Cool. So today's video is going to be about stress and anxiety and why it's self-reinforcing. Because most people don't really understand it's self-reinforcing, and when you do understand it, you'll see why it's accumulated throughout your life and why it has not gone away yet. Cool. So stress and anxiety, why is it self-reinforcing? How is it self-reinforcing? Well, it's self-reinforcing in 5 different ways, and we're going to go through them right now. So number 1, it's self-reinforcing because emotionally, when we get in a stress state, it emotionally makes us more volatile. It makes us more likely to feel stressed. It puts us in emotional states that are more likely to lead to stress. Some people get anger in their stress. Some people feel vulnerable and feel nervous and feel tense and feel shut down. So it puts us in a place where we're far more likely to be triggered, therefore it creates more stress. Secondly, physically, the effect it has on our body and our brain leads us on an unconscious level, at the part of our brain it activates, for us to perceive the world in a way that makes the world more stressful. So our brain is searching for danger, searching for problems, searching for things that are wrong. Therefore, it's more likely to find them, and it's more likely to release more stress hormones. Mentally as well. So mentally, it puts us in a place where when stress hormones are activated in our body, our brain functions differently. And one of the aspects is mentally, it makes us much more in tune with things that are going on that are going to create stress. I already said that in the past one, but I'm repeating it again. But mentally it has that effect as well, where it causes people in several different ways. It causes their brain to filter information that's going to perceive things much more likely to be stressed. It causes the inner voice to change. On average, people have 20,000 thoughts a day, which is a lot. And if you're 8 out of 10 throughout the day, or 0 out of 10 throughout the day, those 20,000 thoughts are going to be massively different. That's going to influence the very things that are going to come up, the way you're going to evaluate things, the way you're going to think about things throughout the whole day. So that's the first 3. Cool. The fourth one is, it changes our baseline. So imagine in yourself that there's a baseline, and that as you get more stressed, over time, and it becomes chronic or it becomes anxiety, what happens is that baseline rises. So the unconscious place where you feel safe and you feel normal changes. So just think about that for a sec. So for any person who's experienced chronic stress from working super hard, chronic anxiety, what you'll find is your baseline where you feel comfortable, even if it's painful, is actually a place that's stressful and anxious. So where you move towards, where you undeliberately, if that's even a word, accidentally fall back to, is a place of stress and anxiety. The place where you think, oh, I'm hit normal now, everything's fine, isn't a good place, is a terrible place. And that's one of the main issues with stress and anxiety over the longer term, is that we totally lose our awareness of where we are and what's going on. We accept it as normal because we've experienced it for quite a long period of time, but it isn't really normal, even though it's normal, if that makes any sense. I hope it does. Cool. So, and the 5th one is something that I spoke about, a good client of mine yesterday, is this effect. So imagine there's a red line, and if we go above that red line, every single day, stress and anxiety accumulates. So it accumulates in all the different ways we just discussed today. It's self-reinforcing. But if we go below that red line, what happens is you kind of hit that red line, you go back down to 0. So you go back down to that beautiful place of equanimity, homeostasis, balance, poise, whatever you want to call it, which is you feeling, functioning, being at your best, when everything's great and everything flows and you can deal with life. You can go out and do difficult things, and the stress, if stress does arise, firstly, stress is much less likely to arise, and if it does, you're resilient to it. Resilient to it triggering you, and if it does trigger you, you're super resilient towards recovering and going back to 0. So it means you can do difficult things, you can do challenging things, you can do things that spike your insecurities, you can communicate things with your partner in your relationships, you can just do everything that you need to function in life and succeed without the huge burden of stress, panic, and anxiety. So that red line is number 5, where it's knowing in yourself that if you stay below that red line, if you recover and get back to that point, then what will happen is you'll be able to go out and do different things, and your body, your brain will go back there in that type of way. Go on, get my words out slowly. But the moment you go above that red line, stress, anxiety is self-reinforcing. So it's stimulated that part of your brain enough that all these effects we spoke about, mental, emotional, physical, behavioral, affecting us in all kinds of different ways, that's going to stack on top of it and accumulate and accumulate and accumulate and accumulate, leading to long-term symptoms, which in general are much worse than short-term symptoms. And even if we're not triggered, even if we don't think we have anxiety during this stage, what we'll find is the deeper effect, the way it affects our brain and the way it affects our behavior, will continuously hold us back, which the normal way is, leading to avoidance patterns where people avoid things that they feel stressed and anxious towards, which is okay, I suppose, but it's not okay if, you have avoidance patterns towards success, or avoidance patterns towards earning money, or avoidance patterns towards developing your career, avoidance patterns towards learning new skills, avoidance patterns towards creating a good relationship, avoidance patterns towards getting over challenges that you've had in your childhood, whether that's challenges in relationships, challenges in emotionally, challenges mentally. It's likely that you'll hide from those things and double down in that direction, which is naturally only going to make your life worse. So stress and anxiety is self-reinforcing, and it's not something you can manage. It's not something you can cope with if you're above that red line, because it only grows worse. It's something that you have to recover from in order to get back to be feeling, functioning, and being at your best. And in order to be able to tackle the challenges in your life, which, let's be honest, we cannot tackle when we're caught, when we're overwhelmed in that anxious state, even if we're not triggered, even if our anxiety is just above that red line, because it's totally going to wear us down. Even if we do go for it, we're going to get so stressed out, we're going to get so burnt out, we're going to get so emotionally worn down that, it's not going to be worth it, is it? So we have the tendency to then avoid. Cool. Hope this makes sense, guys. Probably should do, but I'm not too sure. Cool. Bye.